Now, I do want to talk about the difference between saving and investing. This is very key, and I think I alluded to it a little bit earlier. Dan had mentioned, how do I start saving and how much? I always tell people that savings is just putting money aside for a rainy day, right? So the people who saved before this crisis are the people who are in a much better situation than the people who are just spending like things will always be that way. The people who are surviving. I told you earlier about the story of Joseph, right? He actually told the Pharaoh that you needed to store during the times of abundance because famine will happen. We all know that there are seasons in life, just like there's in the day, there's night, right? So we know that will happen. Even, here in Kenya, there are rainy seasons, there are dry seasons. So it is not wise to spend everything during the rainy season. And then when it is farming, then you're busy crying. A wise person doesn't do that. A wise person knows that they store for when things will happen, just like we heard about the story of the ant. So usually tell people have an emergency cover between 3 to 6 months. That typically what I would advise people to do, and I believe that that's a principle that you always have to store for a rainy day. But then now maybe in the future we'll start looking at up to 12 months because right now we're realizing things are changing, right? So the key here is whenever you're saving, just put something aside that you need for the short run, but anything extra you want it to go into investments. Investment is thinking about the long term. And I always talk about long term because I always say you need to be investing not for yourself, but your children's children. You have to be thinking about the first generation. What will bless them? Not necessarily you. What will bless them? Because hopefully you are blessed by your parents and your parents' parents. But if not, we talked about stopping the poverty cycle. So it starts with you. So you need to know the difference between saving and investing. So when you're going to invest in, there are different asset classes, right? So you need to diversify your portfolio. We just talked about the story of Abraham. He started off in business, right? So he started off, he was shown the land, he started the livestock business and he's doing well. But once he started making money, he started employing people, everything is going great. Guess what? He diversified. He diversified into silver, into gold, into property. So that's what I would actually advise you to do, is that whatever and however you make money and you start on your wealth creation journey, you need to diversify your portfolio. You need to get into real estate. You need to get into businesses. You need to get into equities. Equities just means that you actually own shares into a company. It could either be a public listed company, like if it's listed in Nairobi Securities Exchange, or it could be a private company, right? Most business people actually own maybe 100% of the business if it's a family business. But when it comes to equity, you own a percentage of that company. You just own shares. That's just the difference. And as you grow in your wealth, you realize there are some things you do not want to be there full time. So you're willing to actually own shares in that versus owning the whole company. And that's wisdom. You need to know when to invest and how to invest. And if you don't know, remember I talked about having guidance. The other type of asset class is called fixed income. Fixed income is just you lend and get an interest. We talked about how in the Bible it says the borrower will always be a slave to the lender. Fixed income just means you're a lender, right? So the government borrows and you lend to it, you get a treasury bond or a treasury bill. A company borrows and you lend to them, it's a corporate bond or a commercial paper. So fixed income just means someone has said, give me this money and I will return this money back with interest. That is how you make money. That is how you make money, that you're able to lend, be a lender. as opposed to be a borrower. And then other ways to invest are through unit trusts. And I usually say this is usually good for people who are just starting out, especially if, for example, your savings, you're not going to like a money market before you go into equity funds or balance funds, because at this time, what you're doing is maybe you don't have a lot of money, and two, you're not very familiar with the market, so you need guidance. So you want to work with professional money managers. If you don't have the information, you always want to go with the professional. So that's what the unit trusts are. And then alternative investments. Alternative investments just means anything outside the ordinary, right? So outside the real estate, the equities, the fixed income, the alternative investments. So once you get to that point, you always want to talk to a wealth advisor who would advise you with that. Now, this to me is really a good table. I always say time is your friend, because if you look at it and you look at compound interest, it will surprise you how wealth can be accumulated and you actually reach financial prosperity. For most people, being a dollar millionaire is financial prosperity, right? And so I just did this chart and I just realized that if you start today and you put aside 50,000 Kenya shillings, or $500 only, in 25 years, you'd have made 100,000 Kenya shillings, which is $1 million, only with $500. So can you imagine if you put in $1,000, and you're getting an interest rate of 12%, guess what? You will earn what's this called again? You will be able to earn, you'll get to $1 million faster. But the key here is always about consistency, consistency, consistency. Start with what you have in your hands, right? So if today you have 5,000, put that aside. If you have 10,000, put that aside. If you have 1,000 shillings, put that aside. For the people who decided to join this program, I did say that if you start off with 1,000 shillings into a money market, a new one with one of our strategic partners, then we at Regal Africa, we're going to put in 1,000 shillings to back you up, right? We're gonna help you start on that creation journey. And the reason I say this is because you need to have an investment account, and you need to be putting aside something every month, every month, every month. Just like the ant, you keep accumulating, because it reaches a point whereby you will have $1 million and you'll be like, how did I get to $1 million with only 50,000, with only $500? How did I get to $1 million? And the beauty about this is about compound interest, and it's about haba na haba hujaza kibaba. It's all about slow and steady, slow and steady, slow and steady. Now, there are some people who say, you know what, I always recommend for people who have a salary or who are in business, so that way they're able to put money aside, accumulate periodically. But sometimes maybe you are blessed, right? We're talking about financial prosperity and family. Maybe you were blessed and you inherited, right? And you inherited a substantial amount of money, right? Or you actually were in business and you were able to actually do a project where you got a substantial amount of money all at once. And the question is, where do you put that money? I always talk to people about doubling your money. There's a secret rule that the wealthy do use to understand how soon can they double their money, and it's called the rule of 72. And what this does, which is the secret formula, you're able to tell how soon will I be able to double my money. So, for example, if I today was able to inherit 10 million Kenya shillings or $10 million, and I want it to become 20 million, I want to double that money. For me to be able to know how I can do that, I put on the rule of 72. So if I want to double my money within 6 years, then I need to find an investment that will give me at least 12% per annum, so that in 6 years, I double my money. If I want to double my money within 3 years, then I make sure that my return on investment is 24%, so that in 3 years, I would have doubled my money from 10 million to 20 million. Why is this important? It's very important because when you're actually going out there to create wealth, you do not want to be lied to. Some people will lie to you and tell you, you'll make money double your money in 3 months or in 6 months. And you have to ask them, how? How are you going to do that? What kind of interest rate? Is it guaranteed? Is it not guaranteed? Again, my people perish for lack of knowledge. So if you know this and someone tells you, by the way, the return on investment of this is 10% per annum, and then they tell you you're going to double it in 2 years, then you know they are not telling you the truth. So that is what wisdom is. You have to get the knowledge, and the knowledge that the wealthy do use to be able to tell, where do I need to put my money so that I can double it, And wherever you put this money, it's not active. Most people put this money with a professional money manager who will actually help you grow that wealth. So